Hey guys, I'm Karlyn Borysenko with Decode the Left. I'm an analyst and independent journalist that has been covering and doing deep dives and undercover work in the far left for about 4 years now. I know all the major players involved in the protests and the riots and things like that. And I just wanted to make a quick video to clear up some confusion that I'm seeing just all over the place online. And listen, there is a lot of misinformation, and conservative influencers and politicians, I'm looking at you, okay? I'm looking at you because there are a lot of big-time conservative accounts and a lot of political accounts, more than I quite frankly am happy about, sharing blatant misinformation about what is going on Saturday. There's a lot of untruths out there, but there's one big one that I want to make sure people understand. The No Kings national protests on Saturday have been scheduled for a long time. They are a natural escalation of the protest and organizing that Indivisible, as well as the teachers' unions, the NEA and the AFT, have been doing all year long. The Indivisible hosted the hands-off protest in April, which was a lot smaller than what we're seeing now. A lot of people on the right made fun of it. They said, oh, look, it's just a whole bunch of old white people and no one's really protesting anymore. That was Indivisible and the teachers' unions. The next month in May, they hosted the May Day protest. They organized May Day protests all over the country, over 1,000 events nationwide, so their protests are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. At the May Day protest, they announced the No Kings protest the following month. So these are protests that have actually been planned for a while. In fact, on Monday, they have a debrief call in which they're announcing the next protest that they're going to be doing. I bring this up because this is completely separate from what's going on in Los Angeles. It really is just a coincidence that it's all happening at the same time. The people organizing in Los Angeles are Antifa, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and a bunch of immigrant rights groups that the Party for Socialism and Liberation is connected to. There are some other organizations floating around as well, but those are the main organizations that are driving what is going on in Los Angeles. Also, you just have, quite frankly, the retard factor, where there are a lot of low IQ people showing up and looting and doing crazy things, because that is what happens when you have social disturbance. People seem to think that the people organizing the No Kings protests are the same as the ones organizing the Los Angeles protests and the riots. And that is just not true. These are two separate organizations. These are two separate ideologies. These organizations don't work together. These organizations do not communicate with each other. It really is just a coincidence. And we need to be very specific about this, because you need to know the enemy that you're fighting. Now, that's not to say that the Party for Socialism and Liberation and Antifa and all of these other far leftist organizations aren't going to show up at these No Kings events on Saturday. They're absolutely going to do that, because there's already these mass events planned and have been planned for a while that just are rife for disruption and are rife for agitation. So I fully do expect that we are going to see the Party for Socialism and Liberation show up on Saturday. I do fully expect that we're going to see Antifa show up on Saturday. I also think we're going to have a mass turnout from a lot of people, everything from the farthest left revolutionaries you can find, all the way to kind of like your normie Democrats and liberals and your kind of like hippie socialists and things like that. There is going to be a huge spectrum of people out on Saturday. And so I do think it is very important. Saturday is not the end of the protesting and rioting season. Saturday is going to be like the beginning of the protest and rioting season. And in order to really understand where we're going to be going for the rest of the summer, we need to understand the groups involved, and the differences between these groups matters. I know a lot of people think that Democrats and liberals and progressives are communists. However, when you talk to real communists, they will tell you that their biggest enemy are Democrats and liberals and progressives. So real communists disagree with you. With the Party for Socialism and Liberation and Antifa, those are real communists. Those are real revolutionaries. They do not believe the Democratic Party and the progressives and the liberals are supporting what they want. It's two fundamentally different ideologies. Also, when you on the progressive side, and Indivisible is a progressive organization, there's a lot of people saying on Twitter that Indivisible is a communist organization. That is so laughable once you actually start listening to actual communists. It's unbelievable how laughable that is. Indivisible is a progressive organization. They want to work within the current electoral system to make strides to a more far left world. So they are moving in that direction. But when you talk to actual communists and socialists, they do not support the methods and the tactics tactics of indivisible. They think they're too close to capitalism. They think they're capitulating to the current power structure. They think their ideas are never going to work. There is a very big schism on the left between the revolutionaries, the violent ones who want to overthrow the federal government, and the reformists, the people who want to work within the current electoral system to make change. The differences between these groups matters. You've got to stop grouping them all together. I understand it's confusing. If you want to learn more about these groups and you want to learn how to differentiate them, please follow along with my content. You can follow me on Twitter or X, Dr. Karlyn B, DrKarlyn, the letter B. I do almost daily live streams on my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. You can just find me by looking up my name. You can find me on my Substack. It is Karlyn, Karlyn.substack.com. But please start differentiating between these groups. It's going to become really, really important as we make our way into the summer, and I will help you to do that. I will help you to identify them. I will show you their propaganda. I will show you their videos. I will show you their training so that you can actually see for yourself, oh, this is what it looks like when the Party of Socialism and Liberation shows up in the world. This is what Antifa looks like. This is what the Revolutionary Communists of America look like. Here's what the Democratic Socialists of America look like. Here's what the immigrants' rights groups looks like. Here's what the queer Marxists look like. Here's what the progressives look like and the liberals and all that stuff. All of these groups are different. They all have different tactics. They all have different goals, and they do not work together and play nicely with each other. So if we want to know what the left is doing and we want to be able to push back on the amount of chaos they're going to cause this summer, we have to be specific. All right? So let me know if you have any questions. Leave it in the comments or the replies or wherever you might be watching this. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have, and I will catch you next time. Take care. Bye.